All right, back with Marlo here. I want to ask you about HSA administration as far as what are the other options available on the market. Something I see a lot, and I don't know if you run into this, is an employer, doesn't really matter the size, they'll just work with the bank to administer their HSAs, the same bank that they use for their business expenses and their whatever their business runs through. So,
well, that's a common kind of thread or common theme sometimes is when an employer makes the decision to offer a qualified plan, then it seems to be maybe what's the path of least resistance. And again, those misconceptions we talked about, that it's hard, recognizing that it's not. But an employer might say, hey, I have a business banking relationship with my local bank here, or even a national bank over here. I have a connection there already. They administer health savings accounts. This makes sense for me.
Yep.
I struggle with a little bit to say why that makes sense. Now, I don't want to completely question your client's, decisions, but I would just say history shows that working with a HSA administrator that focuses solely on HSAs from soup to nuts versus a bank that really offers multiple products from checking accounts to auto loans, mortgages and so forth. Focusing on somebody that offers just health savings accounts, you do get a level of expertise. And so in a typical bank setting, really most tellers and bankers behind the scenes don't understand the regulations, or we've talked a lot today about hacks and strategies and stuff. They just don't frankly understand that. And that's why working with a dedicated HSA administrator, you have the latest technologies, you have the latest IRS regulations, and really customer centric in that if those employees need to ask a question, and boy, we certainly want them to. We want them to take advantage of these accounts and be better consumers. What better place than a place that specializes in just that product? So we don't claim to know much about auto loans or credit scores, which at the same point a bank really, so.
Well, a lot of them are selling their HSA business, so
that's
it's
true.
Not a very attractive business model for them. So that might speak to
you brought
the
that up, and
the employees
great.
have with the banks.
So the national banks have really gotten out of that industry, and they've just because it does require a real specialized focus. So I recommend not going to the local bank. I think that the experience for the employees and helping them become better consumers happens when you work with an HSA administrator that's solely, their sole focus is HSAs.
And as the employees start, and the employers and the higher income people start building up the balance in their HSA, what is the investment the options with the local banks?
Yeah, and so again, most local banks aren't in that mutual fund space. Where again, like a company like ours at Further, we've partnered with Charles Schwab. Great name in investments.
Funds,
so we have
EFTs.
mutual. And frankly, even when balances get to a certain point, they can actually have some one-on-one time with a Charles Schwab rep and have options of 2,500 different stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Now that sometimes puts the cart ahead of the horse because we're really just trying to say, does it make sense to work with my local bank or to work with an HSA administrator? And again, everything we do is tailored towards helping your employees become better consumers and better users of the system.
Great. Yeah, so I've seen the experience for both the employer from an admin perspective and for the employees just seems to be a lot more seamless.
Right. I mean, we do have a goal. And we all three, your employers and your clients and you and me, we all share the same goal, and that's to help the population or help employees find easy, manageable ways to lower the cost of their care. And the idea of just not going to the doctor is not the answer. And so but having an administrator that understands how to pull all those levers of, do I make interest on investing? How do I put 70 cents of care, a dollar's worth of care that only cost me 70 cents. These are the things that an HSA administrator brings to the party.
Yeah, I guess one last point. I see a lot of times employers review their medical and their dental. They review everything once a year, but what I found is they don't review the TPA on the HSA. And once you get down a path of having a very good HSA program, that should be something that you really keep an eye on because they'll set it up for whatever reason 10 years ago. Their broker told them to set it up here, and they just kind of let it be there.
That's right.
I mean, I see that all the time, and it's kind of...
Well, I think you bring up a good point. And so HSA administration is far more than the commodity of how much does it cost a month and how much interest do the accounts earn. Although those two things are very important, I think the real answer is how different are we from a bank in that the experience. And so, the strategy of how do we help your employees pay for their health care,
Yep.
and the ease of which to do that. And that's done, by a dedicated HSA administrator.